Or US gallons?
That's going to be Canadian gallons per minute. Yeah.
So that'd be 6.6 liters per minute at 1.5 gallons.
That's a good question. You know, we can find the answer on the strainer of every individual basin here. There's a conversion there. Yeah. It's actually
usually I find if it's the Canadian will be in liters, and the American is US gallons.
You could be right about that, you know, but we'll find out that answer in the home today. On every single aerator of your faucets, every shower head, there's actually a conversion indicator there. It'll give you liters per minute as well as gallons per minute. I think you're right. It's going to be probably US gallons. Any other questions?
Do you know what the spectrum is of? You said showers is 30% of the water use in the home. Do you have an estimate or just a guideline of what the different things are? Like what's a kitchen sink? I suppose I don't know. Is it important to restrict kitchen sink, or do you want that just to fill the basin as quickly as possible? No,
that's true throughout the entire home. I couldn't give you the statistics off the top of my head. I've got a pretty good guess at the energy calculator on this webpage will be able to do that, some of that work for us. We can try that if you like. But no, the water consumption is an A to Z issue. Anything that lets water out, there's an effort in reducing that. And that's true here as well. I mean, for example, let's see if they've got a specific measuring here. Let's go to the kitchen. I think they've missed these. Specs, there we go. Oops, we don't need lotion, that's not what we're after there. Right down here it indicates that the wand is available with a flow rate of 1.5 gallons per minute. Standard practice for kitchen faucets is 2.5 gallons per minute. So again, that's going to be pretty congruent with what they've done in the shower. You know, going from 2.5 to 1.5. You know, and that's again, 30 to 40% reduction. As far as the actual room to room, what's the consumption? I imagine a lot of that's lifestyle. Dependent, but I think that there's probably a common thread there, and if you like, we can spend some time on the calculator to see what else does.
Maybe where the biggest bang for the buck is in saving. I always thought the shower would be higher.
As far as reduction?
Consumption. For water use, I would have.
Depends on how long your shower is.
And how many shower heads you have in your shower.
Yeah, that's right. Well, 30 to 40% of the home's consumption, that's a pretty substantial consumption out of one single station when you consider that we're doing loads of laundry, that we're doing we're at the kitchen sink 50 times a day. That's a good number. In North America, it's common that families are at that kitchen faucet 50 times a day. And you think about it. Yeah, I mean, you ever shut the water shut off in your kitchen faucet? How many times you walk up, even though you know there's no water, just like a light switch when the power is out, you hit it anyways. It's a lot. But yeah, no, that doesn't surprise me at all. 30 to 40%, I would say, is, in my mind, seems pretty consistent with how much water gets consumed, and that's a lot.
When we were doing the modeling for this house, there was a couple of things surprised me with it. The toilets, how much they used if you didn't use the 3/6 flush. It's just a crazy number.
That's right. And
irrigation. Like you'd think in Saskatchewan, you're probably watering your lawn maybe 3 or 4 months a year, but it uses a lot of water. I was really shocked at that. And I wasn't sure if I had Canadian stats or American stats when we were looking at them, but it was shocking how much was being used.
Yeah, residential irrigation should almost be outlawed. It really serves very, very little purpose. The only only energy positive, of course, is that keeping a green space around your home reduces the potential temperature around your home. But, you know, there's a lot that can be done there as opposed to water, you know, pouring water out onto the
I think I read the city of Saskatoon is out $1.5 million in revenue because last year was so wet. And so it was lost water sales to the
lost water
residents.
sales. Let's call that a good
One and a
problem to
half
have.
million, isn't that?
Yeah,
Like
we'll,
water.
we'll pick that up on the back end and call that a good problem to have. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with these particular kitchen faucets, how are they restricting the water flow? My girlfriend had bought a, you know, faucet that was supposed to be very energy efficient. And what her problem she discovered was that there was so little power, you know, it wouldn't rinse anything off. And, you know, she had the plumber come back because she thought that it was improperly installed. And then finally they sort of took it apart and discovered, oh, well, there's this little O-ring that's restricting everything. And he took the O-ring out and suddenly she had water, you know, that was powerful enough to be able to rinse her dishes off. But of course she was also using more water because essentially the thing that was making this faucet water saving was this little, you know, washer that basically restricted the amount of water that was coming out. So have they come up with something that's a little bit more technically clever than that for faucets?
Let's think about the problem for a moment. In order to reduce water, how much water a faucet offers, you need to reduce how much water a faucet offers.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty straightforward. You know, from an engineering standpoint, if I want a faucet to deliver less water, I have to restrict how much water is either going to the faucet or getting past the faucet. As a manufacturer of faucets, my only opportunity to really impact that is reduce how much water is getting out of the faucet. So no, you're absolutely right. It's a series of restrictors built into the faucets itself to slow the rate that the water is delivered through. You know, a lot of work will go into intelligent design to make sure that the way that the water comes out of the kitchen faucet is maximizing. Kind of like what we talked about with using the low flow shower heads, you know, delivering a larger drop to the body, you know, and yet still lowering the amount of water that's flowing through there. But yeah, it's just like if we looked at buying a car, when cars started to get into emissions control, you know, there was a lot of grumbling, well, it doesn't have the power that it used to have, and I'm not really happy with the way that this works and that works. And there was a lot of mechanics that would go in there and undo this and undo that and throw them over the left shoulder because they were old school guys. And wow, look at all the power I've got now. But of course, the fuel consumption goes down. So, you know, what we're really talking about, the whole topic really is a matter of compromise. Mm-hmm. It's a compromise. You know, everything that we do to reduce our impact on the earth is a compromise between our wants and our needs. You know, we have lots of wants and yet we have surprisingly few needs. So there's some sort of a middle ground that has to be gained. You know, companies like Delta, we hope that you just continue to buy their product, you know, or make that choice when it comes to going into your home. You know, they're saying to themselves, you know, because I don't think at the end of the day, I think these are still corporate guys want to move some product. But they're saying, you know what, the public is getting smarter, the public is getting more responsible, and we want to be able to appeal to that sector of the market. People are going to make intelligent choices. The design has to be, at the end of the day, you're using less water. You know, you're not going to get the same kind of flow rate, the same kind of performance as you're going to get with less water. There's no question. They're trying to find that ground where you're comfortable giving something up. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the frankness of it. So yeah, no, it is down to you know, there's a series of restrictors. Some people restrict on the inlet side, some people restrict on the exit side. My own personal thought, it's more intelligent design to restrict on the outside because it's much easier to clean out. You know, again, if we go in a series of aerators and restrictors on a faucet, where it lets the water out of the faucet, if that's restricting, then that means sediment and dissolved solids in our water can also impact the performance of that. And so periodically a homeowner might have to take that aerator off and tap it and clean it out. You know, that's something that a homeowner can do. Undoing a faucet or taking a cartridge out or fundamentally changing the design is not something a homeowner generally can do or should do. You know. So we try to keep it simple, certainly, you know, make it something that's serviceable for the homeowner. But yeah, certainly it's a give and take. The manufacturer's got to give up something and the homeowner has to give up something.
For a kitchen faucet, is there such a thing as a user-friendly type of setting, kind of like the 3-6 toilet flush, where you can choose either a high flow or low flow?
That's an interesting question.
I was just thinking the same thing. We may have invented something.
There you go.
That's an interesting question.
Don't tell Delta, we'll call them ourselves.
The hybrid I care on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays faucet, I don't know that I've seen that. That's an interesting question. I would maybe write some letters on that.
Put it into blast mode when you're cleaning off the dishes, and the rest of the time, if you're washing your hands, you can get away with low flow.
Yeah, well, that said, we certainly see a lot of faucets, this home inclusive, that have got both spray and stream, you know. And, for years with the old style pull-out sprayer, we used that to strip the toast crumbs off the sink, from the top to bottom, or, to get the microwave ketchup off the plate. So it certainly got a little more impact. Now, we're still talking about the same gallons of consumption, but the way that the water comes out from a velocity standpoint is different. But no, I don't believe there is a different gallon per minute faucet. It's an interesting question. Well, it's kind of an all-in decision when you go that way.
The other thing I've always wanted was being able to, sometimes in the old days you'd be able to go into a medical situation and they would have foot pedals for their faucets. So that means they didn't actually have to touch anything with their hands. And I always thought that was great because, you'd have to, you have to turn something on, wash your hands, you turn it off, and it's like, here you just hit it, it's on, hit it, it's off, it's like, I like that instantaneous on off. I don't even think the infrared is as sensitive as using a foot pedal.
Yeah, no, that's right. Delta has actually designed
I've seen some with a bar that you can hit with your elbow, or like a bigger.
Forgive me, there we go. I'm not familiar with Macintosh, although I started in Macintosh at some point along the way. I've lost my way.
You might get hooked, you'll want one.